For the candidates who have not yet won a state, who have not racked up significant delegates, I ask you to prayerfully consider our coming together, uniting.
We have expanded the Republican Party. I'm a unifier. I know people are going to find that a little bit hard to believe, but believe me, I am a unifier.
Last night was not supposed to be my night. I never said Super Tuesday was going to be our big night. We wanted to do well. We wanted to pick up a lot of delegates, but we understood that other campaigns had spent a lot more time and money in some of these states, and I think that was reflected.
Well, getting ready for the Fox debate tomorrow night here at the Fox Theater in Detroit. And as you look at the stage, we can tell you that we were getting ready for 5 podiums, but now there are 4 on the stage. That is because today Ben Carson issued a statement saying, quote, "I have decided not to attend the Fox News GOP presidential debate tomorrow night in Detroit, even though I will not be in my hometown of Detroit on Thursday. I remain deeply committed to my home nation, America. I do not see a political path forward in light of the last evening's Super Tuesday primary results. I will discuss more about the future of this movement during my speech on Friday at CPAC in Washington, D.C. Governor John Kasich said he talked to Dr. Carson today.
And by the way, I don't know whether you heard, I just had a very, very nice conversation with Dr. Ben Carson, who announced today that he's suspending his campaign. And I think he held his head high, and he's a very, very good man.
So let's bring in our panel from Washington, D.C. Jonah Goldberg, senior editor at National Review. David Gregory, former moderator of NBC's Meet the Press and author of the book, How's Your Faith? And syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer. Okay, state of the race, Republican side. Jonah.
I think all this talk about how there's a civil war coming misses the point that the civil war is already here. I think that the not Trump forces are galvanized and moving in a way that a lot of people didn't think could happen. There wasn't any time left for it. And I think that the central battlefield will be Florida. And I still think that there is a chance that the not Trump forces will prevail. Trump had a good night last night, but so far, if you add up his returns in all of the primaries, his hostile takeover of the party amounts to a 34% of the vote. There's still room in there for the not Trump forces to prevail, but it's going to be very hard.
Yeah, and in fact, if you have multiple candidates, obviously, David, it gets a lot easier for Trump to glide to that nomination. Just looking quickly at the exit polls from last night, angry with the federal government. You see about 48%, Texas, Tennessee, Arkansas, Georgia, prefer the next president to be a political outsider. That's roughly around 60% in the states last night. But here's the kicker. Dissatisfied if Trump wins the nomination. 54% in Texas and Virginia, 53% in Alabama, 50% in Arkansas, 45% in Georgia. So there's some flux there.
People want an outsider, not just this outsider. And there's still all this momentum. You know, to Jonah's point, in a normal year, you'd have the party establishment and the party apparatus pushing donors and others to start to rally around the front runner, even at this point. What's different now is they are trying to seed the idea of these rivals to Trump getting some traction and denying him the nomination, even if it comes to a brokered convention. I think there's a feeling that perhaps not on their own, neither Rubio nor Cruz can take Trump and defeat him, but maybe they can stop him on their own, perhaps together. And of course, there's a lot of rancor, I think, in the party ranks about John Kasich right now, who they feel is really getting in the way of a path for Marco Rubio.
Charles, your thoughts a day after digesting all these results?
Well, 7 out of 11 states is a pretty significant victory. But even more important for Trump is the way that it all ended up. It was like a break in a game of pool. The balls ended up exactly where Trump needed them, where there are still 2 evenly matched contenders, Rubio and Cruz, neither of which is going to get out. And as long as they remain with equal strength, roughly, below Trump, he wins pluralities. And what's coming up now are states where with a plurality in the 30s or low the 40s, it's winner take all. So at this point, up until now, where the vote was split, it was okay to lose states, but now you can't. And the question is, what will one of them drop out? I think Cruz right now has a stronger claim. He's won 4 states. He's got strength across the board. And then if you play it out theoretically, you could see the Rubio people headed largely into a Cruz camp, With Cruz, it's not that certain that a big number, perhaps even a majority, would go to Trump, since this is the so-called outsider lane. So if you were planning it that way, you'd say that Rubio should cede. The other way to play it is they all stay in, and then they deny Trump a majority of the delegates. And then he goes into Cleveland with a plurality, but not enough. And then you have to do some kind of coalition where the other candidates pool their delegates, win the nomination, and decide among themselves who gets it. There's one caveat that if that happens, Trump walks out with 1,000 people walking out behind him, and that would be a calamity.
Yeah, it's an amazing story that's developing either way you look at it. Our James Rosen was with the Cruz campaign yesterday, caught up with Senator Cruz last night, early this morning, and asked the question that a lot of people are asking: what took so long?
For a good 8 months or so, when all the other candidates were attacking Donald Trump, trying to slow his momentum and questioning his conservative bona fides, you were thanking him for raising important issues. Didn't you give Donald Trump political cover that is now serving him very well, and do you regret that?
Well, listen, I have been taking on Donald Trump directly for months now, going directly
about
at
a
him.
month and a half.
And there are stages to the campaign. As I said, it was a winnowing field. You saw candidates who took on Donald from a position of weakness, and it didn't work out. They got squashed. From our end, we had to consolidate our strength. We had to build our base to be in a position to take him on directly.
Joni, what do you think about that?
It's a theory. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, the amount of blame to be distributed across the landscape, from the mainstream media to various people in talk radio to the Republican establishment and the counter-establishment, you'd have to set up FEMA tents to distribute all of the blame that deserves to go around. And Ted Cruz certainly deserves some. But at the same time, look, all these guys are in this to win. And he picked a strategy that backfired on him because he did not expect that Donald Trump would eat so much of his base, which is a lot of what we saw on Super Tuesday.
Especially with evangelicals, which has been the surprising story. David, what about setting up this debate here on this stage tomorrow night, and perhaps how consequential it is as a moment in this race? These seem to be big moments, these debates.
And I think it's another big moment. You not only have more winnowing going on in the field with Dr. Carson getting out, but you have an opportunity, and you directly and your colleagues are going to be posing questions to really get to this ultimate point of disqualifying Trump. What is it about his rivals that they see in him that's disqualifying? Those numbers in the exit polls, that there's a high level of dissatisfaction with Trump, that it has gotten real for voters out there to take a look at him and think about him being the standard bearer of the party. This assault that Rubio has started as well, which was overdue and so late in coming. If he's able to sustain it now and can keep it going for about a month, and if there's a lot of super PAC money that comes in behind it, there's certainly some hope that there's enough there to slow him down and allow Cruz and Rubio to catch up and deny Trump. It's not about beating him outright, but it's denying him a chance to get over the top.
Yeah, 10 seconds here, Charles. The other option here, as we've seen before, is Donald Trump comes out of these debates better positioned.
Unless his opponents, namely Rubio and Cruz, open the Bombay doors and drop all the remaining ordinance. It seems that Rubio enjoyed doing that last time around, and he found that the way to get after Trump, to undercut him, is with mockery, ridicule. And if you look at the exit polls, late deciders did not go to Trump. They went to Rubio and to Cruz. So it might work. It's the only option. I would look for carpet to bombing starting in about 24 hours from now.
Charles, David, Jonah, as always, thank you.